Do you think it's strange that there's not one gay man in the AFL?
Like, one of the factors I think might be holding back a male player of coming out is
People weren't taught, they didn't learn how to kind of manage the notoriety that comes with being an Australian football player.
you're not doing it tough. Like, you're playing an elite sport for a living. I had this memory with my dad. I only found out until I was older. He was taking mum out to the back of Geelong and pretty much gave her the ultimatum. It was either remove the ABO or this is the end for you. It wasn't until I was older, in your teenage years, where you start to work out, going, hang on, this is not the hero that you want as a dad. Had a pretty average night one night with him, pretty scary for myself. And
What happened? There was obviously the finishing of your career. How did you manage that?
it's not like you go, oh, I'll play every second week, or I'll slowly wean off it, or cold turkey, you're done. Being at Geelong in a really successful period. I just remember we won the premiership in 2007, and it was the first Geelong premiership in 44 years. Yeah, you felt like you belonged to something. I have to admit, I Googled a number of times of what sports could I make starting at the age of 32. I think I found a Sudoku team was about all I was capable of. When my kids are older, I wish that I actually end up being a great dad in their eyes.
You had a breakup of your marriage. How did you navigate that so publicly? Jimmy Bartel, welcome to A Life of Greatness.
Thanks for having me. I'm pretty honoured to be on here. I follow your podcast. I haven't read the book just yet, but some of the guests you've had on have it's made it rather intimidating for me. There's some big names there, and people who I follow along on their sort of podcasts, or any time they speak, I make sure I pay attention.
Tell me, on that note, I reached out to you and you said, I've listened to some of the episodes on your podcast before. Which ones?
I have to say, the one I've had on repeat, and it's actually strange that I keep going back to it. It's 5 to 6 minutes, and it was pretty recent, and you were talking about your teenage son and about how quickly time goes by, and it makes you a little bit emotional. Like, I'm starting to get goosebumps now about it, because it's something you should go, yeah, I've got to be more present. But it really hits home, and I've actually recommended to a few people. I actually sent it today to a good mate. He had that white look on his face, and I said, what's wrong? He goes, I'm having another kid. So he's about to have his fourth son, so congratulations to him. But no, I think the way you delivered that in, I think it was about 5.5 minutes, 6 minutes, and it's a good reminder too. Like, I know we all want to be more present. Life is busy. We've got stresses coming from all angles, but sometimes you think, oh, I'm doing the right thing. I'm trying to get back to work. I'm trying to stay on top of things, but it's just putting things in all their places and just relishing those little moments.
It's so hard with kids, right? It really kind of hit home with me because my son is turning 13 at the end of the year, right? And like, I'm Jewish, that's like the bar mitzvah year.
Yeah.
So it's like a big deal. And he's always, my son, been like my baby. And, I remember even, we'd give a kiss on the lips and I would think like, I'm going to kiss him on the lips till he's 21, And he would look at me and I could tell he was so madly in love with me. And I think that happens with sons and mums and stuff like that. And then I don't even know when it happened, where I just noticed that he was shutting the door and on his phone in his room, or suddenly he was like so much taller than me. His shoes were way bigger than mine. And it was the idea that, which I say in the episode, that you don't know it's the last time when it's the last time. And I meditate a lot. And I feel like I was probably grieving this without talking to anyone about it. And I went into just meditation one day. I was doing normal meditation as I do most days. And I had this picture of him in my mind as a child, and I started bawling my eyes out in meditation. And I thought, God, this is like I'm grieving him growing up. And of course, I'm so happy that he's healthy and all those kind of things. But as you know, as a dad, we just, it's so hard when you're working and things fly past so fast until they're gone. And you think, I wish I had been there a little bit more for those kind of younger years. And yeah, it's just a funny feeling, because at the time when you're in it, it's so full on as well. So what's your experience with that been?
Yeah, I think you start to touch on it there. Like, my sons are 9 and 6, and my daughter has just turned 2. So with my oldest boy in particular, of course, it's the first of everything, and you want him to still always want dad, but then you also want the balance of giving him that independence or age appropriate independence to find his way through the world. And I think only recently I had a little bit of that moment that you're talking about, that when you're picking them up from school, and what used to be is like grab your hand, walk out, or Dad, can you hold my bag? Is now I've got my school bag. It's okay, and just slowly dropping further behind. You go, what's going on back here, mate? Like, come on, like keep up. And he's like, yeah, go up there. I've got it. And I'm like, what's going on? And I went to my partner. I go, what's happened here? She goes, you're not becoming cool anymore. Like you're now dad. And but you sort of wrestle with that. But then on the flip side of that, it sort of made me really aware of the relationship with my mum too, because I think, we do take our parents for granted sometimes. And someone put it to me, whatever age your parents are. So, sorry, Daisy, my mum here, she's in her 70s. Now, she's super healthy, super fit. She's still very active. And we all want her to live to 100 plus. But even if that's the case, 20 years. Some people go, well, how often do you see your parents? And it's like, once every, say 3 months, or some people 6 months, or once a year. If you then said, well, you're only going to see them 20 times, it like really hits home, and you start to go, well, hang on, is there times or opportunities where I can go see them, or can I, when I have that time, can it be, I guess, not more intense, but more present when you're there. Like, instead of, oh, Mum, what's going on? Yeah. Now tell me what's happening, Mum. What are you doing? Are you out in the garden? Do you need some help? And things like that. So it sort of worked both ways. When I listened to that snippet, that 5 minutes that you spoke about, I reflected on my relationships and how you can be really present with your kids, but then also doing the flip side the other way. Like, how can I do that as, Mum's youngest child there is like, how can I absolutely maximise it? And I think when I first did, she's like, why are you hugging me so much? Like, get off me. Like, why are you being all weird? But and I was like, no, I really just want to value the time I'm with you. She lives just over an hour away. And when you put it like that, you go, look, I can make a bit more of an effort.
The aging parent thing is so full on. I think that breaks my heart more than anything, in the sense of, like, thinking that that they're not going to be there forever. And I mean, that happens with younger people too. But, when someone ages, it is life, right? And the idea that one day you'll wake up and you won't be able to call them anymore. And I think about that a lot, and it's quite heartbreaking. Yeah. It honestly is. And I think that you and I are probably similar ages, and you do get it to a point in your life where you think, geez, we only have so much time. And like you said, we do have to make the most of it. And I think sometimes it's embarrassing, or we think, to say I love you is, I don't know, you feel awkward or something like that. But you never want to regret not saying that too.
Yeah. So, and it's, again, it's the discussion around time, and then not necessarily time management, but like I had that presented to me, and actually my mum did this to me. She got out like the box of matches, and this was when I was finishing my playing career, washed up footballer and things like that. She said, look, the average age, she's like 85 to 88. Let's say you're 88 because you've taken care of yourself. And then she took away at that stage when I'd retired from football 32 matches, and that was my age, and she took that away. And she said, the last couple of years, let's admit that most people sort of struggle a little bit with whatever health. So she took those away. And then those remaining matches, and she said, well, what are you going to do with those? And when it's actually put in front of you as a visual, it can hit home, and it can actually be a good thing to keep going back to. Like, you don't have to do it every week, but every now and then it's just a good reminder of, well, what relationships do I really want to nurture and get the most out of for myself and for them, and just to be really happy, to maximise, whether it's your parents who, their matches are a little bit more limited. And then on the other side, as we spoke about with our kids, is like, well, how can I maximise, their early stages matches. So when they look back and they're like, oh, how cool was it when I had this memory with my dad, or with my mum as well. So it's something I think often you circle back to, and you just use that time to really reflect and then get right. What am I going to take from it? What am I going to do now?
Did you always think like that, or has that been something that's kind of come with age?
I think you get better at actually understanding it, or being able to articulate it to yourself. I think my mum was very good at teaching perspective and looking at things with a broader lens. She was always big on reading and learning, and we know, reading can take you anywhere with your imagination, can take you anywhere in the world, in your mind, and then also the value of travel and learning and experiencing different things from a different lens, a different lifestyle, a different culture. So it always got my eyes up pretty quickly. And then also the ability to sort of put things in their certain box and compartmentalize stuff and give them the right weight that they deserve in your brain and in your emotions.
You grew up with your mother and you have two sisters, and your parents divorced when you were one. How were the younger years?
Pretty good, which is kind of surprising when people later in life...
It was Geelong you grew up?
Yeah, I grew up in Geelong, spent a bit of time in northeast Victoria where my dad and my family, mum and dad's family, come from northeast Victoria. We spent just over a year in the United States when I was 10 years of age, which is a fantastic experience. Mum got a teaching exchange. She's a primary school teacher. But yeah, my parents separated when I was one. I didn't know any different. I didn't understand the reason for the separation early doors or the volatility in that relationship. But the funny thing about it is, even though my parents divorced, my mum never ever said a negative word about my father, who was violent, had his own issues of course, with his own upbringing and whatever he had to deal with. Battled alcoholism and gambling addictions and things like that, and was incredibly violent to my mum and others in my family. But I didn't understand that as a young kid, and I was probably protected and shielded being the youngest as well. But as you got older, your eyes start to open, you start to learn, and as I mentioned before, you start to go, well, actually, hang on, I don't think that's normal. I know no one's normal as far as family dynamics go, but you go, that's not right. And then you sort of start to go, well, your dad, who for a boy, and I don't know if it's any different, but for a young boy, teenager growing up who loves sport, your dad's your first superhero. And mum kept all the scrapbooks, an incredibly talented sports person. I'd see him around, his mates and things like that. Incredibly charismatic, great life of party, and not diminishing anything of his friends had with him because they had a different relationship, but that wasn't what I was getting. And so then it became a real tough thing for me to deal with, going, well, hang on, how come I'm not getting that? Or you go around to a friend's house and, dad's doing this and that stuff, and you get to a point where you sort of ask mum, go, what's going on there? And she goes, oh, look, he's just different from the others, and you'll work it out in time why.
Did you see him much when you were growing up?
Yeah, I spent some school holiday periods up there, and I got to, I think I was about 14, and I'd spent a holiday period up there, and I come back, and I'm naturally a very quiet person, even though now I'm a bit of a contradiction. I work in media and things like that. I'm pretty guarded and reserved, and I remember coming home, I went straight to my bedroom, and then mum come in and goes, what's wrong? She goes, oh, I just don't think he's the person I think he is. And it's sort of, I didn't have a great time up there with him, and had a pretty average one night with him, which was pretty scary for myself. And
what happened?
He'd been heavily drinking and things like that, and he got pretty physical with myself, and sort of stuff that you'd put away and seen earlier, that sort of all came to the surface, like a couple of times where he, even though my parents had separated, he'd come around home and my mum had placed an AVO on him, and he came around and told her to lift the AVO or else he was going to take mum, and he did. He took my mum out of the house, and took her. And I remember looking out the lounge room window and he was taking my mum, and I only found out until I was older, he was taking mum out to the back of Geelong and pretty much gave her the ultimatum. It was either remove the AVO or this is the end for you. And so it was a tough decision for my mum. It's like, do you leave 3 kids with no mum, or you come back home and you remove the AVO and you try and manage things a different way. So it wasn't until I was older, in your teenage years, where you start to work out, going, hang on, this is not the hero that you want as a dad.
And tell me, how do you think that has shaped you in your life of being also a dad?
I think I probably overcompensate as far as my boys probably get annoyed. I smother them. I give us another kiss and hug and things like that. And you always you trick them into telling them it's a world famous hug. It's always great words. If anyone needs a tip to con your kids, you call it. I need one of your world famous hugs and things like that. So I just want to be. I want to be the dad kicking the football and, playing cricket and basketball or whatever their interest is in dinosaurs. I think I really dive over head first, into it, like probably a little bit too much sometimes, where, the youngest boy's obsessed with dinosaurs. All right, let's get all the dinosaur, like you're trying to find figurines and things like that. Because, I think you probably think, well, I never got that experience, so I'm not going to leave them short in that way. And I think the other thing is, if I say I'm going to be there or I'm going to do something for them, like I'm 100%. Like it just never promise something that that you're not going to fulfill. So I've probably gone the other way, trying to be the antithesis to it a bit, and hopefully that works.
When you were a little bit older, I think you were still a teenager, you confronted your dad.
Yep.
What happened with that?
My older sister, she was the first to have children, so she had her first, and she was living in the same country town, and he'd had a big night drinking, and he went round there, and she's got her firstborn there, and he was like, oh, I want to see the baby, and she's like, you've had too much, go, and he got quite aggressive with her, and I don't know what triggered in me. She called me, I could hear she was really upset, and then my mum called me, and I was playing at Geelong that day, and I don't know why that just like flipped the switch for me. It takes so much for me to get worked up and things like that, but when you just know your emotions are going on, you get really, really hot, you're sweaty, you're agitated, you can't sit down, and you go, I think I'm sort of losing a bit of a rational thought here, and I went, that's it. Because I think what hit home for me was, all right, Mum dealt with it, we dealt with it, that's another sort of generation, and go, they don't need that. So I was at Geelong, I went to football training, and we football's a pretty aggressive game and it's combat, but I don't know why, I was nearly taking teammates' heads off, like in training drills, and one coach almost grabbed me and goes, get off. And I was really close with this coach, he goes, what is going on? He goes... And I was like blurting it out. I reckon I was half like teary-eyed, and you're trying to be in a football club and you're like, you scatter it. And he goes, just leave. He goes, take all the time you want. And mind you, we're building up. Geelong is about to enter its most successful era and things like that. And they're like, just go and deal with it. And so down in Geelong, he lived about 3.5, 4 hours away. Bang, in the car I went. All right, that's it. And lucky it was so far away, because I was pretty irrational in my thinking. I'm like, I'm going to meet him, the old-fashioned way. But a bit of time, the Hume Highway is a very boring road, as we know. So I gave you a bit of time to calm down. And I spoke to my mum on the phone, and all she said is, look, don't do something that he'd do. Just, can you promise me that? And the unfortunate thing is when your parents say, can you promise me? And you're like, oh, okay, mum. Like this. I said, right. And then I met him. I stayed at a friend's house. I met him the next day, and we met outside an RSL, just conveniently. He came out of the pub, and I just said, look, that's it. Like, we're done. Like, because I made sure I checked with my sisters. I go, look, and they're more than happy to almost represent their thoughts. And I said, look, that's it. You've done your dust, mate. Like, it's all finished. And he asked, well, do you want you want to fight about it? Like, come on, you want to get it out? I said, no. I go, that's where we're different. I go, we're done. And he did step in, and I'm like, well, there's your opportunity. And I went, no. And so I got in the car, and then it was almost like a grieving process then for me because, like, all the hope you had of, that's Dad. I didn't speak to him ever again, and he passed a few years later after that.
Is there a sense of peace that you have with it now, considering that he has passed? Not that you have to have that, but I just wonder if you've found that in yourself or you haven't. There is no right answer.
No, I think peace is part of it. There's still a fair bit of disappointment because, like, I know I'd love nothing more than my sons to, they've got nice olive skin and they get that, from my dad. I'd love to say, well, and my youngest boy looks very similar to him. Hey, you've got many characteristics like your grandfather. You'd love for him to be around and, show off and go, this is him. And look, as much as grandparents love to dote on the grandkids, it's pretty cool how when you see grandkids see Pa, Pop, whatever name they want to call them. So I guess there's a little bit of disappointment that they don't get that, that experience with their grandfather. And I think I take a little bit of peace of you are who you are because of your experiences through life, and they shape you good, bad, indifferent. And I'm not one of those people who think, if I would have had this in my life, I'd be, things would be different. I think you land in the space that you land because of all the little micro things that happen in the world.
I wonder how your views on drinking are because of your dad.
Yeah, it's funny. I have no problem with people having a drink. So, like, I'm not anti-alcohol and I'm not anti-gambling because, not all people drink or gamble are terrible people.
Yeah.
I completely acknowledge that there is issues in society with it as well. But for me personally, the way I handle it, I've always had this thing that I never drank alcohol in front of my mum.
Really?
Yeah, I just find it uneasy, and I know she'd have no problem with it at all. And she's offered me, would you like a glass of wine at Christmas? And I've just thought, oh, no, I'll have a soft drink or things like that. I don't know, there's just something in me, because maybe as well I've been told many times by people, geez, you look a lot like your dad. Like I don't know whether I'm overcautious of mum and my family. I never have a drink in front of mum and I never drink in front of my kids because I don't know, like there's just...
I don't like that idea of drinking in front of your kids either. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like, and I'm not against people who do. Like, so people go, you're being a stickler and things like that. It's just my
I agree.
own weird hang up, and
I have it too. I don't know why.
Yeah, and there's the other little strange thing, and I don't know why, is I don't like when all the lights are off in the house, and it's not like I'm scared in the dark.
Yeah.
I just like when you come into a home, you turn the lights on.
Yes.
Because I always have this memory of going to Dad's house, and it was always super dark, and I don't know what in my mind always goes, hang on, turn the lights on, it feels homely, it feels warm, everyone feels really happy. Darkness, unless you're watching a movie and everyone's getting under the blanket. I don't know, it's just...
You associate the darkness with your dad's house, and I'm assuming that wasn't a good time. So
Yeah, and again, I'm not scared of the dark, but it's just like something weird that I go, all right, I'll go and flick on all the light switches because the kids will love it, and the house feels bright and happy.
Do you drink generally, even if it's not in front of the kids and your mum? Because I know the culture of the AFL, there's it's drinking, football, that kind of thing. Yeah,
I'm classic, what they'd call, with AFL footballs, you binge drink at the end of the season. I never really drank during the early days when you're 18 to 23 and, you could have a big night and next day you're good to go. I was like any other footballer of that early generation where, after a game you go have quite a few beers and the next day you go do recovery at a pool or a beach and things like that. Yeah, I was part of that. But as I got older, you couldn't do it to recover for football. So I sort of went through the stage of where I always describe the first half of my career, if you went to recovery, training on the Sunday, you needed an excuse why you weren't out. By the second half of your career, you need an excuse why you went out. so it's just the way it sort of flipped on its head. But no, I'm not a drinker after work. I've never actually craved a drink. You know, some people go, "Oh, I've had a long hard day. I need a wine or a beer."
Neither have I.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never been that way, and again, I have no issue with friends or
Yes.
family who do. It sounds weird. I think I've got the taste buds of a 10-year-old. Like, I enjoy.
No, I'm the same. I get it.
I like ice cream and soft drink, which is probably worse for my midline when you get a bit older and you're trying to keep the weight off. But no, I just think I'll have a wine of an occasion, or if I haven't seen a mate for a little bit, you want to go down the pub and have a couple of beers. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that, because I didn't drink for years because I hated the taste, like full baby kind of thing. And then I remember when I was maybe about 20, we'd be drinking like Chambord and like the sweetest, disgusting kind of alcohol that tastes like a soft drink, basically. And obviously my palate has changed with time, but like you, I do have a drink here and there, never really at home. If I'm going out with friends, maybe, but the bounce back is when you get older is awful.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I made the most of end of year celebrations and when we had good times at footy. And like I was a typical 22, 23, 24-year-old at AFL club that, you know, you let some steam off at the end of the year at the pub, or there was a big weekend. But as I get older, or now, like I don't need the drink to get through a day or finish a day off.
Yeah. Football, you know, I don't think you would have been in many interviews where they're, you know, nearly half an hour in and we haven't even brought it up yet.
That's okay.
But it just shows you the nature of the podcast. Football is something that you obviously played for such a long period of time. And I actually didn't realise till I started doing research that you stayed at Geelong the whole time. Like that was your club, which is, there's something pretty cool in that.
Yeah, I love the fact that I just played at one club and I was part of, you know, what Geelong is today. And, you know, I came into an era of Geelong who they got so close in the 90s where I grew up. They got to 4 grand finals and the town rides the emotions with the team with wins and losses. And they kept getting so close and not getting the ultimate success. They had some great teams, great players, and then they were in a heap of debt. And they were going through this massive transition and they completely turned over the list. And that's when 2 years older than me, another year, and myself, pretty much this whole wave of Geelong talent came in, and to build something and then be part of it, and then, you know, be part of it, like I'm talking, you know, 20 to 50 people who have left a legacy and helped set Geelong up to be the strong club. And I get to be like a little hair in the whole body of it. It makes me feel incredibly proud that I was part of that.
And I would assume, you know, the town of Geelong would be a very tight-knit community as well. So they would back their football team a lot. You know, I would say that that happens. You obviously won and accomplished a lot of things when you were there. Do you have a moment that you go back to in your mind that's still like a standout for you?
I'm very fortunate there was quite a few. Being at Geelong in a really successful period. I just remember when we won the premiership in 2007, and it was the first Geelong premiership in 44 years, and just seeing the emotion on people's faces and the supporters, and I just felt so incredibly embraced by the supporter group, and you felt like you belong to something, and you're trying your absolute best. And every time I played, I go, I've got to play well because how invested they are, and it's as heartland as it gets of the game. Like, I know people talk about Melbourne, but down in Geelong as well. Like, if the Geelong and greater region, you go down the Surf Coast, there's over 40 local football clubs. Like, everyone is invested in football and they know their football, and for them to get so close. Blue collar town, of course, there was Ford and all manufacturing, which then left town, and so a lot of people did it tough. And the thing that picked them up is the Cats winning, and then to win a premiership, and then seeing them all back at Kardinia Park that day, just the happiness on their face. And from a personal point of view, one of my grandfathers was the biggest Geelong supporter.
Really?
He was possibly the nicest human being you ever want to come across, and every weekend for 2 hours he'd have his own moment, where he'd get his little polystyrene esky and he'd get his 2 beers, and his favourite thing in the world was to watch Gary Ablett Sr. play football, and he just put himself in the lounge room. And every year Geelong got to the grand final, he'd decorate the street with blue and white balloons. And then obviously Geelong lost 89, 92, 94, 95. And he was heartbroken for like a week. And then he'd pick himself back up, and then he'd just go back to being himself. And I was like, oh, geez, I'd love for him to experience, winning a Geelong premiership. Unfortunately, he passed. But then it was like, they are the sort of people who like live their whole life and they just wanted their team to win, and you got to be a part of it.
What made you want to get into football?
I just love sport, to be honest.
Yeah.
I love the connection, the people. I actually enjoyed training as well, like kicking the ball. I was very big into my cricket as well, so I was definitely a football, cricket kid. It was my way to meet people. It was also, I know we touched on home life, but it was a relief from that. And, when you're just training or you're just playing, you could just block out all the outside noise. And I think that's one of the skills that I learnt through my childhood was compartmentalising things. Like, want a better term, the world could be blowing up, but it was okay.
That's an amazing skill, because I wish I had that.
Yeah, because
it's like almost being so present in what you're doing that you forget about the turmoil that's going somewhere else. And I think, that's where true happiness lies, right?
Yeah.
It's very hard for a lot of people to do that. It's kind of a form of mindfulness.
Yeah, and I've read a lot about it. Clearly, not as much as you have, but I think I learned it really well off my mum, and she's very much, well, the problem's still the problem. Like, what are you going to do about it? Yeah. Right. So,
but sometimes you know that, and it's still so hard.
Yeah. So
the rumination.
Yeah. So, like, okay, this is going on in your home life, school life, or work life, but does that actually impact me trying to win the ball? Now, I know that makes it sound really simplistic, but well, it's not. It's not doing anything different. And I think it kept me in good stead whenever playing in front of 100,000 people at a grand final. People are like, teammates, you seem so relaxed. I said, well, the goals are still the same. Like, the opposition's going to be very good, but when I'm having a shot for goal, I've still got to do the exact same mechanics as if I was having a shot for goal in front of 5 people or 100,000 people. So I think I learnt that skill very early off my mum.
How is it when you're going, you're playing footy with that many people watching, right? There are people cheering, there are people shouting stuff out, How do you focus and not get caught up in any kind of negativity going on in the stands?
I think it's how you frame it. I always saw it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
It was an exciting opportunity. Like, I get to play at the MCG, and I often reminded myself, even in my playing days, I'd go at least twice a year as a fan. So I'd walk up to the MCG and go, how cool is this place? I go, I'm going to be here actually in a couple of days, and I'm going to be out there. And so just reminding yourself that you're doing something pretty cool, and then it's an opportunity. And I never wanted to put my head on the pillow after a game going, oh, what if I'd done this, and what if I'd done that? And the game, right, I'm here. And so then I took my approach during the week is train hard, play easy. So it was always a mindset of when I was going through my week, I'd absolutely bust my backside during the week and get everything, dot all the I's, cross all the T's, put it to bed. And by the time the last training session, I get to have the fun on the weekend. I get to just play. And so I think that helped me deal with, whether it was the crowd, the moment, and you're going to lose at different times, but you're not going to lose before the game, or, they're going to have to beat me for me to lose.
Were you close with your teammates over the years? I mean, it was a long time you were there, so people come and go, but was it a tight-knit bunch?
Yeah, it was pretty tight-knit because I think when we came through, as I touched on before, we had 2 really big drafts. So about 10 players came in 2 years before me, then a couple, then another 10. So for people unaware of footy, there's about 40 on a list. So we pretty much had 3/4 of the list come in a 3-year period. So we're all pretty much between the age of 18 and 21. So you form really tight bonds. You go through the same ups and downs. You don't love everyone, but the respect is there as well. And then you start to learn, about each individual. And the great thing about football clubs, I know there's, detractors about it, but it's a thing that can have someone come from call it Collins Street to Struggle Street, from remote Western Australia to someone from Ireland to where I came from about 3 or 4 blocks away from Geelong Football Club. But you've got this common goal, and they're all similarly motivated. And Geelong doubled down on character, and they really focused in on character.
Really?
Yeah, when they went and recruited.
Who did that?
It was definitely a plan through their recruiting manager at the time, Stephen Wells, the CEO, Brian Cook, and the coaches at the time, Mark Thompson first, and then Chris Scott. Was character. You still had to be talented, but the character was really zeroed in on. Like, now, it doesn't work in all workplaces, but highly competitive, highly aggressive as far as football sense goes. The willingness to work and just, refusal to quit. So then now you put that into a pot.
How could they tell if you're like that?
They could, a lot of interviews, a lot of, questioning school teachers, junior coaches, watching the way you played, and then it weeded it out. So at training sessions, you could see which ones could stand up to it. It was a highly competitive environment. It was cool. It was like everybody coming to work, it wasn't work, but coming to work who wanted to be better every single day. It creates a pretty awesome environment to be a part of.
And are you still mates with a lot of the boys now?
Yeah, a lot of them I still hear their terrible shit jokes all the time. But the fact is now, like, kids, family, a lot of them have moved on to different clubs being coaches. But the reunions are always fun, where you get to catch up. You drift apart from some others because they return home, or, we're not too great as we get older of staying in touch, especially men too. So we sometimes let some relationships drift as well.
I wonder, not so long ago this year, the Selwood twins died, and that was a shock to everybody. They were Geelong. I'm assuming that you were friends with them. How did the club rally around the grief of that?
Yeah, I don't think we can ever comprehend it. Joel, who's obviously the famous Joel Selwood, there's a grandstand. He and I lived together for quite some time, and then, of course, our parents, my mum and his parents became quite close. I played over 13 years with Joel, and shared so much with him. And I think the most difficult thing is, like, what do you say? And I know that's the minor end of the problem, but you just want to make it all better for them. And then you think everyone's trying to make it all better for them, but trying to let them know whatever you need, we're there. But then you want them to know that you're still always there, even after the phone call, the message, or seeing them in person. And the resilience of that family is extraordinary. Like, I still can't get my head around, like, and I think it gets put into laser focus, with when you have your own kids, losing one child and then losing another so shortly afterwards. And
twins, it's like just heart. The bond that twins have, I think that's just heartbreaking.
Well, that like rocked me, and I wouldn't even that wouldn't even compare to the Selwood family and close friends. But Troy, who was the first to pass away, and his twin Adam, saying, my whole entire life it's been Adam and Troy, and it's legitimately like a piece of me, and that's gone. And you're just like, it's a completely another level as well, like, identical twins on top of it. And I just can't comprehend it. Like, and I think every time you think about it, you think about Joel, you think about Scott, the youngest brother, and then Bryce and Marie. It's like, can you give me some of your hurt? And I think everyone thinks that. Like, can you move some of that load onto us? Because no one deserves that.
How are you dealing with it?
I think whenever I feel bad about it, I just think of them, and like, my sort of hurt or pain from it is insignificant compared to theirs. And so then you've got to like flip your focus, and I'll shoot Joel a message and go, how are you going? And then you try and find moments of, can you provide a little bit of levity to lift the mood, I guess, or when do you want to catch up? You let us know. And it's always tough for people finding that balance of how much do you push in, how much do you talk, how much do you just sit back and give them their space.
It's a funny thing because like you kind of mentioned it earlier, you just want to take the pain away, and you feel so sad for your friends, right, who are grieving as well. And I mean, it's by no means the same, but one of my best friends lost her dad, and that's the natural order, though, very different to the Selwoods. And I was like, well, I don't want to say the wrong thing, right? But at the same time, you don't want to not be there because you're scared of saying the wrong thing. So I remember just like sending her messages saying like, I just want you to know I love you and I'm here for you if you need anything, because you don't want to be too forceful because it's such a hard time.
Yeah, no one gives you the blueprint, do they?
No.
Well, the process of how to help friends and family with their grief.
I wonder now, talking about footy, there was obviously the finishing of your career, and that happened in 2007 after 305 games. You said at the time when it had finished that you still felt like you had more to give. There must be a grief that comes with that as well.
Yeah, it's since you're a young kid starting football. Now, I was a bit of a late starter footy. I didn't start playing football till I was 11. As most kids start at like 5 and 6 in the Auskick and all that sort of stuff. But I was a bit later starter. But either way, every Saturday you knew what you were doing for winter.
Yeah.
And you knew what you were doing on Tuesday and Thursday. And then as you got older, you're in different squads, and then you got drafted. And every single conversation that people start with you is, how's football? What are you doing this weekend? Where are you playing? And then once the season finishes, how's pre-season? And then once you get to the end, how's the season going to be? And it literally is the first 5 minutes, and it's the icebreaker. And then your first conversations post it, you can actually see people getting really awkward in front of you. And now I'm not the most socially comfortable person to start with, so I'm probably already making them feel uncomfortable as it is. But you can see the awkwardness, and they're like, I don't know how to talk to you. And it's 100% your identity. There's Jimmy, he plays football. There's Jimmy, he plays for the Cats, or he played in the Geelong under-18s. Or you walk out, I know him from football. And it's done. It's not like you go, I'll play every second week, or I'll slowly wean off it, or I'll go into a part-time playing role. It's cold turkey. You're done. And you've had your motivation of, when those mornings have been, I'm a bit stiff and sore, I've got to get up and go do this gym session because I've got football. Well, what am I getting up for? And I think a lot of footballers battle to fill that void and fill that real competitiveness, the real goal setting of what it is. And I have to admit, I Googled a number of times of what sports could I make to the Olympics, or what sports could I make starting at the age of 32.
What did you find?
I don't know. I think I found a Sudoku team was about all I was capable of somewhere. So, because you're looking for the next challenge, because you've constantly been in that headspace of, there's the goal, go get it. I'm lifting these weights because it'll make me stronger to this. I'm doing this running session that I don't want to do in a 40-day because it will set me up. So you've got to fill the void, which is very difficult, and you've got to deal with, you're no longer that person. Like, you're formerly that person. So what is the next thing? What is I guess you're peeling back the next onion layer. What's your next identity that you're trying to find?
When you ended up leaving, was there, did you know, was it a series of conversations and then an ending, or was it just like a meeting and an ending? How do they do it there?
It came pretty quickly for me. I had a contract for the following year. The club was going through a bit of a transition stage, and the coach was like, I don't think I want to go ahead with you. And you're like, okay, I understand the nature of business. And I think
that's got to hurt a bit.
It does, because you've given 15 years and you've sacrificed and you've committed, and you're like, well, I've still got the contract, I've fulfilled it. So, but I think I'm one of those people who actually understands the nature of the football business. Yeah, I was hurt and I was shattered because, hey, I want to play at the MCG. I want to play AFL football for as long as I can. I want to do my dream. That's kind of the cool bit. And I want to play football with those guys. I want to be in this environment. But you're saying that I can't do it. So it is hard to deal with. And yeah, you're hurtful, and you mentioned that word grief. You go through the different stages. You're angry, you're annoyed, you get a bit, oh, well, I'm better than that person, I'm better than that person.
Yeah.
But once you get through that, you're like, well, you start to reflect. I had a pretty good time, and I got to play 15 years. Like the average career span, I think now is only about 4 years.
Really?
Yeah,
4?
I got out pretty unscathed. Like I can still go for a run very slowly, mind you, but like my body's in good shape and things like that. So you start to turn, you go like, what are all the great things that happened in my time?
With you, did you have like a bit of an idea, like maybe I'll go into media or something like that? Or did you finish and then kind of think a bit about what you were going to do?
No, I still constantly have the conversation of what I want to do when I grow up. I think I've always been like that, which is good and bad at times. But I think the advantage of having a mother as a school teacher, the education was big. So I always constantly studied and then took time off and even took some part-time jobs. And it was more actually to give myself a clear space away from footy. So when you stepped outside the club, something to look at. And I still didn't know what I wanted to do because I was doing what I wanted to do. Like I'm living my dream. Now it's almost like the movie Blow, where he's in the prison and he goes, well, maybe you're just following the wrong dream. Like you got to pick a new one. So it was a bit like that. And I went and did some work for a good friend of mine who owned an executive search business, so a headhunting firm. And his thing was, let's go in reverse. Let's try and eliminate all the things you don't want to do. And so he introduced me to so many different industries and things like that. And I went, I don't really like that. I don't really like that. And I reckon I did that on and off. And in the meantime, I thought, I'll give the media a go. I got asked to do some stuff on radio. And I kept saying yes. I go, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'll keep saying yes. And I'm pretty wired to always learn. And so then, and I'm not afraid of feedback, which is quite unusual for people. Some people in the media, they don't like to be told, but I was just from day one, you tell me everything I'm doing wrong. And they're like, oh, why? I go, because I'll get to where I need to be quicker.
Yeah.
If you dance around it, I'm gonna meander through it, and then I'm probably out. So just tell me everything. Like, I'm not going to cry while you're around. I might go cry in the car, but no. But in all seriousness, like
that's a great way to learn. Not to have a thick skin, right?
I hate time wasting.
Yeah.
Just tell me. And then I can fix it.
Yeah.
Or I mightn't be able to fix it, but we can find a different
I
way
can
of
try.
doing it.
Yeah.
We can do things differently. And so it's evolved into some pretty cool things that I've been able to do in the media space as well.
Yeah. Being a footy player for so many years, as you mentioned, means that you're thrust into the public eye. And how old were you when you started at Geelong?
I was 17. Just
17, right?
Yeah.
So I finished school when I was 17. You're a baby. And I think especially when your era of football was around, I don't know what it's like now, people weren't taught or they didn't learn how to kind of manage the notoriety that comes with being an Australian football player, which is obviously a huge sport here, like especially in Melbourne, it's like the number one sport for anyone overseas listening. How did you manage the highs and lows of that?
I spoke about it a little bit before. Like, I think you've got to learn to give things the appropriate weight that they deserve. And I think it's okay to celebrate the good things and it's reflect on, sort of the bad times, but put it in a bit of perspective as well. Like, you're not doing it tough. Like, you're playing an elite sport for a living. It's pretty cool. And if I hurt myself, there's 2 physiotherapists and there's a doctor and there's a strength and conditioning coach. I'll be well fed and well watered like a plant. But like, I've got it pretty good. And I think that's when you can just step back and not get too far up yourself and not get too sucked into the bubble. Like, there's a lot more things going on in the world. And I think that's what I always tried to do, as well as just constantly try and seek perspective. And that's why I like to travel post-footy season, is like, you're a little speck on, on the map, and there's a lot more going on. So then that actually gave you a real good motivation when you got back, going, it's really cool what I'm doing. But then also when it was tough, was going, all right, like what are the things I can deal with? And then what are the real big serious issues? Are they that big? And are they that serious? Or are they that, your highs that high? Or they're pretty good. We can still celebrate them, but just not getting carried away. And it gives you a bit more sort of balance and pragmatic approach.
I wonder as well, obviously talking about being in the public eye, you had, a breakup of your marriage, and that is the best thing for the Daily Mail and all of those kind of outlets, right? They thrive on footballers, their romantic lives, the ups and downs. I mean, it's hideous, really. Yeah. How did you navigate that so publicly?
I didn't really. I don't see what's so fascinating about myself. And, I listened to your podcast with Mel Robbins, and, her whole theory of, just let them. I think probably didn't articulate it as well as Mel, and I don't think many people can. But I sort of had that approach. Like, there's nothing that I can do and say. And other people's opinion on me is none of my business. And so they'll form their own narrative, their own thinking or their own thought. And the only thing that matters to me is the people that I care about. And I just foster those relationships. And it can be tough at times. Like you do want to bite back and you do want to respond, or you want to go, well, I'll say my bit, but people don't care. Like deep down, they don't. I'll rephrase that. The people who care are the people that actually care about you. And so that's all I worried and focused about.
I wondered, do outlets like that call you and tell you they're going to run a story? Like, how does it work?
I've been asked, do I want to comment? And it's like, no. I've never commented on anything to do about my separation. I never will, because I just don't think it's needed. And so I just go about my business. I just don't understand why they need to photograph my kids. Like, take all the photographs of myself looking silly or looking like I'm picking my nose when I'm scratching my head and things like that. Make as much fun of me as you want. Like, it doesn't bother me, but I don't get it. Like, 3 and 4 years after the fact, following myself around and my young kids, I think there should be a little bit of a line, but their justification is, well, you're in the public eye and, but okay.
Do they have to blur their faces out?
I think there's some rule of, if you have shown your kids on social media before, they've got right. But
really?
I don't know. I'm not going to dig into it because, like, you get chopped up, whatever comments I was to make now, and it'll be reframed as something else. So I just tend to leave it and just not venture into those waters.
I think that's the wisest thing. It's interesting as well because, you say nothing and then it still goes in the paper. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they just have a license to make shit up, and that it's wild, the media, right?
No, you just go about your business. You zero in on the really good people in your life, and you focus on them, and you worry about your kids and your family, and you just deal with whatever comes your way.
Yeah. I wonder, now you've got a job at Caulfield Grammar, which is a wonderful school. You're head of football there, is that correct? So you're have you started that role?
Yes, I've been, we're coming up to a year in.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And so you're obviously coaching kids, which is a beautiful thing. What kind of advice do you give kids when they're kind of starting out, or they might be into the football, to allow them to flourish? Like, are there things that, I suppose, for their mindset that you use, knowing what it's like on the professional field?
Yeah, it's been so much better than I ever thought it was going to be. I knew it was going to be great, but I bounce in the door after I've spent time at Caulfield. Like, the reward, I think I'm getting, 10,000 times more reward than they'd ever get, because I can't believe how invested I've got in it. Like, I can sit and watch a game of football and things like that and be calm and things like that and play. But I remember I was watching a year 7 B's game, and I'm getting nervous for the kids because I want them to do so well. I want to see the happiness and the joy that I got out of the game. And I think what I try and talk to the kids about is, like, find your pockets of joy with the game. I want football to be something that just brings them happiness. So when they finish their time at Caulfield Grammar, one of the first things they say is, how fun was it being part of the football program? Now, I know when people come into the program, there's going to be different levels of what they want to get at. There's going to be kids there, girls and boys who want to get drafted. There's girls and boys who want to be the best possible player and it takes them somewhere else. And there's going to be kids who just want to hang out with their friends. But I want them to be like one of the most positive experiences of their school life. And so then how can we set up an environment where I can teach them the game? Because if you know the core fundamentals of anything, any game you get taught, like once you learn where every piece moves on a chessboard, you enjoy the game. It's like that with sport. Once you know the core fundamentals, you can have fun. So I want to teach that. And then I want to just say, look, it's not the be-all, end-all, but like give it its right amount of attention. You can get a lot out of it, whatever level that you want to go to. Like, so that means I don't need you training every day for football. Like, you go to the movies with your friends, make sure you get your homework done and your schoolwork done. I want to know that when I go talk to your teachers in English and math, that you're one of their favourite students, because I want to support you. I want to help you through that. So, yeah, balance kids who experience more than just football. So that means play basketball, play other things. If you're a music kid, go play the instrument or whatever it may be. Make it part of, the broader picture. Just say John or Jane Smith. That's just one of the many elements that make up you.
I wonder, I think you mentioned your 9-year-old plays football.
He plays footy and basketball, yeah.
Yeah, my kids play basketball. If he is to have a game and he didn't play well, wasn't really showing up, mucking around or whatever it is, when you're in the car on the way home, what do you say to him?
Mucking around, I'll be like, well, make sure you show respect to the coach.
Yeah.
Like that, I think that's just some common discipline and things like that. The coaches taking their time out. They're volunteers coaches. So, my kids are great. Like, they look at the coach and things like that. I just like, did you have fun? And I said, what was the most enjoyable part of the game? But I don't grill them with questions as soon as they get in the car. Just, you let them take a bit of a breath and go, how fun was that? And then you find something and go, how cool was it when you did this? So, like, they know you're watching. Like, hey, I saw you run over there. That was pretty cool. And you leave it like that. They don't need another coach. And it blows me away when I go to football and basketball with my sons. My daughter's not old enough yet to play sport, but which she will play sport, which I'll touch on in a second. But it blows me away, some of the parents at games. So I go stand on the other side of the oval or the court because I just can't listen to it.
Really? What do they do?
Oh, well, I remember showing up. It was an under-7, so a couple of years ago. Massive game tonight. So I go, no, it's not. What are you talking about?
For under-7?
I go, if these kids can get their finger out of their nose for long enough, they might actually be able to score some points. But it's not a massive game. Like, it's not. So just chill out. Like, it blows me away that how serious, like, and over the top, and you've got them yelling and screaming at umpires. Like, I'm still shocked in here in Melbourne, and for people listening to the AFL, we have umpire escorts for under 11 games.
Really?
Like, what are we doing? Like, why are we having to escort umpires on and off the ground? The only reason that's happened is because we've had something. So that's a bit that I don't really like it about sport. But then to answer your question, it's like, well, what's the best bit about it? Like, I want you to remain passionate about it. Have a crack, like, as in, commit to it, because sport, you commit to it and you'll get the reward for it. But I don't rule with an iron fist. Like, how can I help you working if they come in? Oh, I want to do some shooting. Oh, how can I help you? You want Dad to show you and, to try and do this? Yeah, sure. So then they almost feel like they're driving it. But sport for me is a non-negotiable. They can pick whatever sport they want, so it doesn't have to be football. I couldn't care if my kids don't play football, but you have to play a sport.
Yeah.
Because I just think there's so many positives that come out of sport. It's
Yeah.
like your ability to relate to different people as far as, different demographics, people from different cultures join in. It's the ability to play as a team, the health benefits, the communication. You can learn great leadership skills, your network as well, like you meet different friendship groups. I just think the positives of sport are unbelievable.
It's interesting you say that because my daughter's 10 and I told you my son's 12. They play basketball. My son plays soccer as well, is very good at it. And it's like Saturday's sport, right?
Yeah.
Sunday too, but Saturday's like the intense day of sport. And I always thought when they were little, like it was a little bit of a drag going there to watch them. But as the years have gone on, I get so much joy out of watching them play sport. I love sitting with the other parents. I love, like, you feel like you're in a team, even though you're not the one playing.
Yeah.
And it just, it is such a wonderful thing. I really agree with you. I think there is something about team sports, because I played a lot of tennis when I was young, and that wasn't so much doubles. It was just by myself, or I swam in a squad. Again, a very like single person sport. So I don't feel like I was ever part of a team. And there is just so much that comes from being part of team sports.
Yeah, and like I touched on it, it's like, well, you all need to be pulling in the right direction.
Yeah.
And then how do you learn that? Which kid, really likes the over-the-top, you're awesome. Which kid just needs to be left alone and go about their own devices. It's almost in a way you're learning at a young age, and you don't realise a little bit of emotional intelligence of like, people like to be pushed and, you don't go, you're this, you're that. And others are like, be quieter, the way they like to go about sort of their business. But my younger son, he's a mix. He likes basketball at the moment and taekwondo. So he sees the goal in front of him. Like, I want to get that next little stripe on my belt and the reward. And, if I work really hard, this is what I'm set out to achieve. So, I'm massive on sport for so many different reasons. And I think people always think you have to do sport to be good at it. No, you just do any sport. Like like you said, pick an individual sport. It can be midweek netball or soccer or whatever it may be. I just think that connection piece to other people, it's a great way to do it.
Obviously you commentate a lot and are in the media, especially when it comes to obviously football. How do you feel that the AFL is running now compared to when you were there?
It's running okay. Like it's such a big business that's trying to satisfy everyone. As far as like, you want to keep the traditional roots of the game, but it's still trying to be modern. It's trying to keep up to date with capturing people's attention. Attention spans as well. There, I guess when I was a kid, it was sport. There was no reality TV. Now you're competing against reality TV. You're competing against YouTube, iPads, all that sort of stuff. So attention spans, and it's trying to maintain AFL in particular, as being the number one sport along with rugby league for the northern states. So it's trying to find the commercial element, but still be that game that you go out in the backyard and you kick the footy, or you go to your local footy club and things like that. So it's in an incredibly strong position. It's great that the girls and the women's game has just been completely opened up. I know when I see at Caulfield Grammar, like we've got 5 girls teams there, and just the pure joy and excitement. Oh, it's cool. You get to actually experience what I got to experience as a kid, which my sisters would have never got to experience. So I think it's evolving, and it's trying to find its place of being a sport, a social leader, as well, and then still be a commercial beast to remain strong.
Do you think they deal with mental health all right in the AFL? Because sometimes I feel like, I'm not in it, and it's not just the AFL, but a lot of these sporting bodies, they do everything to tick boxes, but like within it, are they actually helping the individual?
Yeah, I think their intention is right. Like, I will give the AFL credit, and through the Players Association, I think what they're trying to do is really, really good. Like it's really well-meaning. I don't think they've quite absolutely cracked the code, but that sounds like everything in society. I don't think we've cracked the code, and to use young men, importantly, because the majority of them are young men in the AFL game coming through, and the women's game is building up. But I don't think they've quite found the perfect solution, and there never is a perfect solution. And I don't think we've come the other way as individuals as well. And that's why we've got the Danny Frawley game, and we're constantly saying, just talk to people, and we've got all these campaigns. So I think we're slowly, inching at it from either end as far as, the game, trying to provide solutions and people, and actually the individuals coming and meeting. But I think we're getting better at understanding, when people, are doing it tough, and they were a lot more open and accepting, where it was just like, harden up, come on, get out there on the field and do it. I think now we're seeing players going, look, I think I need to put my hand up. I'm not great. And so I think we're pretty open to that compared to what we were even 5 years ago.
Do you think it's strange that there's not one gay person or man in the AFL?
That has come out and put their hand up.
Is it still...
Yes and no. I've thought about it. The problem, not a problem, there might be one of the factors I think might be holding back a male player of coming out is that'll be all they'll be referenced as for the rest of their life. So what I'm saying is they might be the most incredible player. So John Smith, hopefully there's not I'm not adding a John Smith, by the way. I'm just using the most basic name, John Doe. And he might be 4-time Brownlow medal winner, 5-time premiership player, won every award in the game, 300 games, a legend. But if they were the first player, that would be how they'd describe them. First openly gay player, John Doe said this, or first openly gay player. And I think it diminishes what they've done incredibly well in the game. Not that it should, but I reckon there'd be some who might be thinking, do I want that always attached to me? And again, that's only an opinion of someone who's never walked a mile in that person's shoes. So I don't want to try and know how they're feeling or why they haven't come out. I think if you're going to do it, I think people will be surprised how pretty open-minded locker rooms are. Like I said, the dynamics of an AFL locker room is unbelievable.
Is it?
Yeah. So you can have a 17-year-old and you can have a 32-year-old with 3 kids. You can have a 17-year-old who's from remote Australia, Indigenous, Greek, Italian heritage. We've got an Irish person who might be sitting across from you who's left the family, left home, on a voyage to try and take up AFL football. You got someone who's come from the private school system to someone who's come from, single parents and things like that, who's had a really difficult upbringing, really great upbringing over here, mum and dad and 6 brothers and sisters. But they're incredibly open-minded in change rooms. Funny thing is, as long as you respect each other and you're all working for the common goal, they'll be like, all right, so I reckon most players would go, okay, are you a good person? Are you a good teammate? You're going to train hard? You're going to play well? What do you need from us? Oh, okay, yeah, no worries. I don't think it's probably what a lot of people think locker rooms are anymore.
What do you think is the greatest lesson that you've learnt from your time in the AFL?
It's a good question. I think the lesson I've learned in AFL, but as that time too, because you're also maturing as a young man and an adult, because obviously I came in at 17 and you're still a young man. I left at 32, so...
Still a young man.
Yeah, well, I'm an old man now, but you're pretty formative years there. I think I learned that pretty quickly that you can't rationalise everyone's thinking and the way they go about things with the same lens that you see things. So I think you'll get frustrated, or you won't understand if you keep seeing you think everyone sees the world in the same lens that you see it. So you've got to actually take a bit of time and just understand where they're coming from. And I know that's not necessarily for the game of football, but it's just how you deal with different people. Because as much as you think, why wouldn't you just do that? But I'm getting frustrated at you because you're not seeing it as the way I'm seeing it. But they may never see it from that point of view because they've got a completely whole history of life behind it to arrive at that point. And you're coming from a whole different history of life to arrive at that point. So I think you learn to be nimble, you learn to be open-minded. And I remember talking to a former captain of mine who was getting really frustrated at why these two certain players, like why weren't their body fat level was like as low as his, and why didn't they eat everything, and why didn't they do it? And I go, but if we had, there's 22, 23 in a team, but if we had 22 of you, like talking about the captain who was, call it one of words, a dork with his football life, like he weighed all his food, he diarised everything. I said, we'd never win anything because we'd have no creativity, we'd be dull, we'd be boring. But if we had 22 of them, we'd never win anything. So you probably learn in a football environment, you need all different types, but then you've got to have some non-negotiables in the middle as far as team sport or if you want to drive to a common goal.
What's something that you wish for yourself?
I just probably I wish when I get up at I'm actually sitting around at a table and I'm at my kids' wedding or that they talk about like how awesome their times were with dad, or their favourite memory was like movie night, or how I snuck them a bag of lollies into their school lunch when I shouldn't have, and I keep getting letters home, like all those sort of stuff. That's all I wish for, that when my kids are older, they just go, they find the fun and the cool, and dad was always there. So yeah, I guess I wish that I actually end up being a great dad in their eyes.
Is it hard, like obviously having coming as a divorced family, is it hard not being with them the whole time?
Yeah, you want to be with them 100% of the time, but I probably spend more time with my kids than some parents who are together who are working. Absolutely maximise the time. It's the quality as well. It's being present wherever and whenever you can, and whenever you say something, do it. Like, don't make stupid promises and then don't fulfill them. So, no, definitely. I don't think people always go, "Oh, that'd be really tough." That's not at all.
And it's so true what you say. Like someone could be there 100% at the time, but actually not there at all. Like on their phone, or their thoughts are carrying them away, and they're completely not present to the moment. So, yeah, I think that's a really important point.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm not unusual with it. There's plenty of separated parents and things like that, and in Australia the numbers say that. So I'm not making that up. So just give it your absolute most, and try and be the best dad.
Do you have a favourite saying or prayer or mantra?
I have a few. It used to be bite off more than you can chew and chew like crazy. It was a bit of an attitude that I always sort of took.
Was that a footy field one?
No, it was always actually one that my mum sort of instilled in me. Like,
really?
Yeah, she's like, pick you up from training, and she go, "Oh, did you take on the best tonight?" So she go pick I almost sound like I'm in prison. Pick the biggest bully in the schoolyard, but you pick the best, and like always. Like, you shouldn't be ashamed to be the dumbest person in the room, like, because that's how you get to learn. If you're the smartest person in the room, you need to probably move to another room. So I think I've always approached things that way, is like, what else can I keep learning? How can I keep developing, whether that be physically trying a new challenge, if I'm going to try and run this far or do this sort of stuff, if it's opening up a new book, trying to learn different things. So I think I've always remained sort of in that growth space.
Your mum, firstly, sounds like such an amazing lady. She's really incredible.
She's my superhero,
yeah. I wanted to ask you, do you do any meditation or personal development work on yourself? It sounds like you do obviously read and things like that. Listen to A Life of Greatness.
I do. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I read a lot. I flip back and forth. Strangely, I can read sort of 2 to 3 books at the same time. I always have a a fiction book, and it's always I always wish I was James Bond or Jason Bourne. So that was the career that I always wanted to be, a spy. So it was ever since I started playing Where in the World is Carmen
Oh my
Sandiego.
God, I was obsessed with that when I was young.
Yeah, on my sister's Mac Classic.
Yeah.
So,
and you got to learn all the names of the different countries, and it was really good.
It was always a giveaway when they were in Rio.
Yeah, or Istanbul.
Yeah. But you always had to make sure you got your warrant from Interpol first before you came back to get them. So I love reading those sort of, because they're also books that, they take you to some amazing places in the world, and you sort of feel like you're learning a bit of geography and all that. But then, I loved reading Viktor Frankl's book, of course. Man's Search for Meaning. This Subtle Art. Not Giving an F. All those sort of books, I really enjoyed. I like all the Malcolm Gladwell stuff.
He's amazing.
I find really fascinating. And then there's only probably 2 books I've ever reread, and that's A.B. Facey's A Fortunate Life, which I think is an incredible book. And again, it's back to, which is a key thing for me, is always, gratitude and perspective. It's always been pretty big. It's probably not until I was a lot older I was actually doing that. That's the word for it. And then The Count of Monte Cristo.
I don't know that.
It's a Dumas. I don't know. It's a fiction book, but I don't know why I always sort of related to it as a kid and things like that. And so, I always have just constantly kept trying to learn, whether it be even through the fiction that I pick and then the non-fiction I pick as well.
Do you do meditation?
I've tried. I probably do my meditation through exercise more than anything.
Yeah.
I find when I exercise, and if I exercise daily, I feel good. It gives me plenty of energy, but I can zone out a fair bit and do it, like through, whether it's walking the dog, doing some weights, or going for a run. I find that's my form of meditation. I've attempted a few times, sitting still in the chair or laying down, but all of a sudden I get itchy and things like that. So I probably need to give it another go, but it's not my strong suit, but I do my meditation through more exercise than anything.
And our final question, what is a life of greatness to you?
I think it's just having a bit of purpose and constantly keep searching for the next thing. I still in my head, I don't feel like I've done what I'm great at yet. Some people would say, footy was your thing. I don't think that was it. So I think a life of greatness is to keep searching for what is that greatness. And that's what I'm trying to find. And that might be trying to be the greatest dad I could possibly be. It might be any stuff that I've done with charitable work. It could be, I want to keep searching for what it is. And that to me is a life of greatness, because it's an enormous world. There's an enormous amount of things. So I think that's for me. I don't think I really gave you an answer, but I don't know the answer, and I think that's okay.
I think it's okay as well.
Thank you.
Jimmy Bartel, thank you so much for the conversation today. Honestly, we've gone everywhere, and you've really blown me away in this conversation. So thank you for opening up, and thank you for all the charity work that I know that you do, but also being a great teacher and role model. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.